Welcome to our joint venture with Mindwars and the Awakening Podcast. You can find Chris on mindwars.uk. I'm on awakeningpodcast.org. We're on BitChute. We're on Facebook. Chris is banned from YouTube for the time being, and this week I got my second strike. So, yeah, nothing new there.
Yeah, no surprise there, right? How are you keeping any outside of all the censorship stuff and the usual malarkey going on?
All good. Keeping positive. You have to stay positive. You have to keep a positive attitude because, there's no point in dwelling on negativity. It doesn't help your
Exactly.
yourself.
No, not at all. But speaking of censorship, that might be the one that get us going this week to start. We have a few other pieces to talk about as well, but censorship, and I know you were talking on the Toastmasters, was it only yesterday or the day before as well?
Exactly. On Wednesday, I had I was the Toastmaster of the meeting, and I had put the team being social media censorship, and it just happened that during that week prior to me doing it, every single thing happened. One, me getting banned the second video, because we've had a strange situation, because even though we do a weekly show, a lot of the times I'd use a different heading and I'd take out vaccine or COVID or something like that, and I'd get away with it and yours would be blocked. But this week I didn't want to hide anything because we had all the links as always with the backup proving it, from the HSE, the Irish Health authorities, and but that was no good. And I just know from yourself that, like, when you appeal, you're limited to something like 800 characters or something like that. It's pathetic. You can't even give a decent. So I wrote exactly, listen, I've given the information. So this time I gave, look, we've given all the links and everything, but I also said, I'm confused. How come you allow Will Ferrell? Because we discussed that previously. He's like dressed as a clown and like kind of abusing children. And it's like a paedophile thing that's allowed. And that people saying you'll have bad luck for 10 years is allowed. And also the guy with the cartridges, he put the gas canister cartridges into cars and hitting it with a nail. And I wrote, that could blow a child's hand off. And I got the exact same response. So it's obviously a cut and paste. They don't even look at what you write. But I can have a quick read through there now. It's saying one of 3 community guidelines strikes. Your content was removed due to a violation of our community guidelines. It's strange how our stuff, when we're kind of exposing the truth, is removed, but anything else, no problem.
Of course, yeah.
You won't be able to do things or stream live for 1 week, and then it's telling me 5 days, and then I have a list of the different strikes that I've got, an appeal, and then the appeal rejected. So
that's it. It's kind of the next one you get, then it'll be a ban for 2 weeks. You can't upload or live stream or anything at all.
And then
the red card,
you held off. Yeah, you held off. That's the problem. You see, you held off uploading again because you're going to basically be struck off. And like, you've got a sizable enough following on your YouTube channel, and like a lot of download. You've one video, it's got over 10 or 15,000 views.
Yeah, over 13,000 or something on one of the videos alone.
Yeah, so you don't want that to disappear overnight, but at the same time, I think I'll be doing something similar to you, where we're actually just making a few recordings saying, hey, we don't want to be putting stuff on YouTube, unfortunately, because we're being taken off. Go on to our BitChute channel because it's safer.
Well, that's what I had to do yesterday, was because I was allowed back on YouTube again for a while. So instead of uploading any actual material, I just uploaded a quick video myself telling the subscribers, because I'm still getting subscribers, even though I've literally done no work on YouTube since maybe November, because I can pretty much every time I go do something, I'm put in YouTube jail. And even when they put you in YouTube jail, they still send me an email saying, oh, sorry, Mindwars, we've actually looked back over your previous videos and content as well, and we think this violates. So they're just picking videos out even while you're in YouTube jail for a while. So they've done that, and I just basically done a quick video yesterday on YouTube to say that before, because if we put another podcast stuff for any reason at all, it could just get banned, and then the subscribers on YouTube won't know where I'm gone, what happened, did I just disappear overnight. So I just put a quick video saying, look, YouTube is not the platform for me or anybody anymore, so please help support BitChute and my website as well, and to come over and follow me over there. So that's all you can do, because as we've seen with all the censorship during the week, and with censorship with Parler as well, it's
that
crazy.
Was actually, and just before we touch on the Parler, since we're on the YouTube, like I big into the marketing. So because I have 4 podcasts and I'm constantly tracking everything, so I log a couple of times a day, and I had numbers written down for my YouTube views, and it dropped by about 400. I was like, hey, what's going on here? It had nothing to do with the video that I was taking on, because it was taken on before anyone actually saw it. And again today, I went in, and I could see that one of the videos had actually gone up a good bit, and yet my numbers have dropped again. So they're removing my numbers. You know, it's
Yeah.
sick what they're doing.
Yeah, they're playing with
And
stuff all the time. Yeah, it
back to
happened to me.
Parler, like, I mean, Parler is unbelievable what's happened this week on that.
Yeah, it's the, as far as from what I gather, they had their servers stored at Amazon or some connection with Amazon, and Amazon basically just said
that was the first big error
that
they
was
made.
of course. So they pretty much wiped it out because they seen the traffic that Parler was getting, and you know, because everybody is getting censored is moving to the alternative platforms, and Parler was going through an astronomical was it something like 14,000% or something ridiculous anyway. And the same with so they got their servers, they could just stop them overnight. So they turned off the tap basically. And the same with Telegram that we're on, which I'd advise people to go on to as well. In 72 hours, Telegram got 25 million people just joined in 72 hours, because everybody is, you know, going over to gravitating over to these platforms because they're the way to go. We can't stick on the likes of YouTubes and Instagrams and, you know, a place like that, just not for us anymore. So, but they're not even happy that they're kicking you off their platforms. They don't want the competition like Parler or these other platforms as well to be. So they don't want you to go anywhere.
What's scary is not only did Amazon remove their servers, but Apple and Google actually deleted it from their app stores.
Yeah.
So, and they done an update. Apparently Apple done an update. So if you even had it on your iPhone, the update actually removed it. Yeah. So basically they're on about, you know, competition authority and everything. How is it that three massive corporations collude together to attack the competition? They should be all in jail for that. Yeah, you know, that's unbelievable that that's actually allowed to happen.
Exactly. And it's not going to get any better anytime soon. So yeah, that's 2021 so far. The purge is on.
Exactly. And there was another one actually, Wimkim. That's another one that I'm on, and I just go into that as well. That's what they had said, and when I tried to log in, literally 2 minutes after Jason's Wall Street Journal interview and announcing on Facebook that Google Play was removing our app, a massive DDoS, which is a denial of service attack, like a cyber attack attempt, came in. We are placing the site in maintenance mode while we combat such. Please check back shortly. We'll announce when back online. Thank you for your patience and support. So, you know, like there's plenty of them that are being attacked. It's sick. It's sad
loads and loads and
that
loads.
These guys are allowed to do that.
Exactly. Leaving censorship aside for a moment, then what else have we got this week? I know we have quite a few bits to get into.
No, we have. Well, you've a nice video on like that we're going to be putting up. That's well worth, because I know some of the people are listening on the audio, but we encourage you as well. There's times, you know, you can look at the video, but you can. We're going to have the audio on this as well. But you might just let people know what we're going to be putting up.
Yeah, no, exactly. We'll definitely insert this into the video into this podcast, because I've uploaded to my channel as well, but some people will just watch the video. Other people are, you know, listening in the States and other places, and they literally just listen on Apple or Spotify or one of those podcasting platforms. So for them, it's just a quick 6-minute video or so. And the guy who's actually the doctor who's talking, he's the guy actually out of Plandemic. So he's great friends with Mickey Willis, who you've interviewed on your podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's worth having a listen to this, to what he actually has to say about the vaccine. Well, I shouldn't even say the vaccine according to him, because this is not a vaccine.
It's actually scary to what they've been discussing, to be honest with you. And look, you can have a listen yourself, and you let us know what you think.
Rocco, let's make sure we're clear on something. Let's stipulate that this is not a vaccine. Right. I mean, we need to be really clear. We're using the term vaccine to sneak this thing under public health exemptions. This is not a vaccine. This is a mRNA packaged in a fat envelope that is delivered to a cell. It is a medical device designed to stimulate the human cell into becoming a pathogen creator. It is not a vaccine. Vaccines actually are a legally defined term, and they're a legally defined term under public health law. They're a legally defined term under CDC and FDA standards, and a vaccine specifically has to stimulate both an immunity within the person receiving it, but it also has to disrupt transmission. And that is not what this is. They have been abundantly clear in saying that the mRNA strand that is going into the cell is not to stop transmission. It is a treatment. But if it was discussed as a treatment, it would not get the sympathetic ear of public health authorities, because then people would say, well, what other treatments are there? The use of the term vaccine is unconscionable for both the legal definition term of it, but also because it actually is the sucker punch to open and free discourse. Because by saying vaccine, you dump it into a thing where you could be anti or pro the therapy. But if you actually talked about it as a therapy, remember, and people forget this, Moderna was started as a chemotherapy company for cancer, not a vaccine manufacturer for SARS. If we said we're going to give people prophylactic chemotherapy for the cancer they don't have, you'd be laughed out of a room because it's a stupid idea. That's exactly what this is. This is a mechanical device in the form of a very small packet of technology that is being inserted into the human system to activate the cell to become a pathogen manufacturing site. And I refuse to stipulate in any conversations that this is in fact a vaccine issue. The only reason why the term is being used is to abuse the 1905 Jacobson case that has been misrepresented since it was written. And if we were honest with this, we would actually call it what it is. It is a chemical pathogen device that is actually meant to unleash a chemical pathogen production action within a cell. It is a medical device, not a drug, because it meets the CDRH definition of a device. It is not a living system. It is not a biologic system. It is a physical technology. It happens to just come in the size of a molecular package. So we need to be really clear on making sure we don't fall for their game, because their game is, if we talk about it as a vaccine, then we're going to get into a vaccine conversation. But this is not, by their own admission, a vaccine.
So,
and
Judy,
as a result, it must be clear to everyone listening that we will not fall for this failed definition, just like we won't fall for their industrial chemical definition of health, because both of them are functionally flawed and are an explicit violation of the legal construct that is being exploited.
So, Judy, as a scientist here, could you boil that down into English for a boy who grew up blue collar? I take your explanation, David, and that's superb. But for those out there who may not be able to follow that very intelligent analysis, and that's not meant as an insult, David.
I get frustrated when I hear activists and lawyers and everybody else saying we're going to fight the vaccine. If you stipulate it's a vaccine, you've already lost the battle. It's not a vaccine.
So what should I be referring to it as? A chemical agent, or?
Correct. It's a synthetic pathogen. They've literally injected the very pathogenic part of the virus into every cell of the body.
When you say pathogen, that says to me it's going to make me sick.
Correct. So it
is made to make you sick, Rocco. Rocco, remember that 80% of the people allegedly exposed to allegedly SARS-CoV-2. So let's not get into that rabbit hole, but 80% of the people who are exposed to allegedly the virus have no symptoms at all. They're called asymptomatic carriers. 80% of the people who get this injected into them have a clinical adverse event.
Correct.
Right.
You are getting injected with a chemical substance to induce illness, not to induce a immunotransmissive response. In other words, nothing about this is going to stop you from transmitting anything. This is about getting you sick and having your own cells be the thing that get you sick.
Correct.
So it's gonna trigger an autoimmune response?
It can, and it can,
among many things.
Among many things. It can actually directly cause multiple sclerosis, Lou Gehrig's disease, Alzheimer's disease, because that's what the expression of that pathogenic envelope. It can cause accelerated cancer. That's what the expression of that piece of virus, that syncytin alone, has been known to do for decades. You injected the disease, literally.
We had a conversation there before we start recording. You found something sweet on the Moderna.
Yeah, Moderna basically have said that they admit here that what they inject is now an operating system. So it's interesting what the doctor has just been saying on the video you just listened to and watched, and what they're saying now about the operating system. So their version of the operating system, and you can go onto Moderna's website to check out this as well. I leave the links in the description below for people as well. And they say under the subheading of our operating system, they say, recognizing the broad potential of mRNA science, we set out to create an mRNA technology platform that functions very much like an operating system on a computer. Of course, because it's part of a transhumanist agenda, because they want in time, obviously, us to be the AI, so we don't have to think, we don't have our thoughts processed, and the AI will do all that for us. So that kind of goes hand in hand with that. It is designed so that it can plug and play interchangeably with different programs. In our case, the program or app is our mRNA drug, the unique mRNA sequence that codes for a protein. And you can see in the diagram below, it shows the DNA, it says is the storage, which goes to mRNA, which is the software, which goes to the protein, which is the applications. So that's an interesting article this week that I found out there. I just think it's relevant.
And it kind of ties in well with the 6-minute speech that you put up earlier.
It does. And there's many other things as well. But yeah, I think those two things are kind of correlate together. So interesting, all right, those two topics.
And I know we both like to have a bear someday, but I think something happened in Belgium.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, do you call it funny or do you just call it lunacy or what do you call it? But a guy in Belgium recently, the heading of the Belgian paper is that he's got 3 months behind bars plus €1,000 fine for simply pouring a pint. So when I seen this headline, I was like, I have to read down through this to see what's going on here. So the backstory in brief is, I say I'll leave a link in an article for below people look into, but the backstory briefly is that under the coronavirus, rules and lockdown and stuff over there, he could serve takeaway, that's fine. A guy came to his door to get a takeaway or approached him. He knew him. He wasn't a stranger. He seemed like he was a regular, I suppose, there. And because of the business and all that, obviously going downhill because of the situation going on, this guy said, I'll give you €100, towards the business to help you out and stuff like that. He says, but is there any chance that I can, maybe go in for one beer? So your man let him in, and he had a glass of beer inside in the place. I don't know how the police came on, but the police all of a sudden came on the scene, caught him in the act and said, you can't be drinking on the premises. It could be takeaway only. So one police officer was kind of reasonable. He said, okay, maybe just give you a fine. The other guy was having none of it. He's like, no, we're going further. Anyway, cut a long story short, the guy refused to pay the fine. So on order, went to court. Looks like he lost the case because he's getting 3 months in jail and he's getting now €1,000 fine. But he said he's getting onto people like good solicitors or barristers that are very, in tune in this situation and are going to get him on to fight the case. So this is the insanity where between, last week, was it, or a week before, we done a guy in England and for hugging outside Hyde Park in London. Yeah. He got arrested for hugging. Now, if you pour a pint, you get 3 months behind bar. That
was an expensive pint, he said, isn't it? I mean, we've all paid a few bit extra, especially in Belgium. I know it's a bit more expensive than the rest of the world, but
that is insanity. And it's also leading on to another situation as well, where in England they had a guy got a kebab, bought the kebab, got into his car, drove 20 miles. So I suppose that was regarded as not being in your local area under coronavirus.
It was probably cold at that stage.
Exactly. I don't know what he was doing, but he went off anyway, 20 miles away in his car, sat down in the car, pulled up, windows up, the whole lot, and the police officer just knocks on the door and goes, "What are you doing?" He says, "Well, having a kebab." And he says, where are you coming from? So on and so on, And he says, "Oh, I'm living in such an area in England." He says, "It's just about 20 miles away." He says, "You're outside your local area." He says, "You can't be doing this kind of thing," so on and so on. And he got a fine for it. He's like, I'm not near anybody. I came in my car. I didn't touch anybody. I didn't hardly, not around anybody at all. What are you talking about? And he's got a fine over that. So this is the lunacy of 2021. What we're in.
And I seen something recently in Ireland. Somebody, same thing, outside. I don't know, is it 2 kilometers or 5 kilometers now? But basically went to the beach. Nobody on the beach, just to gain fresh air, which would be good for your health. Same thing, you're outside of your area. It's sick,
it's madness.
And shame on all the police officers kind of doing that. It is, you're complying, but you're going to comply. Yeah, what do you do when it comes around to you? Do you think you're not disposable? And like you mentioned the AI. I mean, I have seen plenty on the AI, and it's like they have military for the AI. They'll have police officers eventually. So your jobs are actually only a matter of time before you're out. and you won't be
Exactly.
getting much sympathy from a lot of people the way you're treating them.
No. Unfortunately, it's not doing the dirty work for the state. It's a horrible situation, but that's a kind of few funny ones. But then there's a not so funny one that's just happened over in the States. There was and the headline is basically Arizona mother arrested after beating her COVID positive children for not wearing masks at home. I mean, what? She was a 32-year-old woman, apparently under the influence of alcohol. She was acting erratic, and she picked one child up by the neck and she kicked another child while I was on the ground. And so there's at least 3 kids, and there's supposed to be another child there as well. So a couple of children got the harsh end of the stick, if you want to put it that way. For what? Because they tested positive for a test not testing for the alleged virus, and because they hadn't a mask on them. Insanity. So the police were called on the scene. As she tried to flee the scene, she was caught down the road somewhere, and the police brought her back. But the police actually struggled with her. They struggled so much. She put up a fight. She was taking none of it either. She put up such a fight that the police had to pull out the stun gun, and they stunned her on the spot. And then they arrested her.
I wonder, did she have her mask on when she ran, did she?
I wonder, yeah. Because the picture actually shows here, it shows her nice little face and her kind of nearly smirking type face in her, and it shows her mask wearing it down under the chin. It's not even on her face. That's the madness that's going on around the world, all over this COVID-19
and it's all
nonsense.
fearmongering, because like with the radio and the newspapers and the television, I mean, we're constantly saying it, but I'm seeing video after video of people attacking other people in supermarkets and everything, because they've been brainwashed to believe in this, and they just attack. And all I say is, do not engage, because it's like talking to a wall. So the best thing is turn around and walk away. You cannot win with stupidity.
Exactly. And it's sad to just briefly mention that I was talking to a person yesterday, and they're saying that their grandparents, or some of them already got the vaccine, and more now are getting it tomorrow and next week. And I was saying, Jesus, I was like, have you actually seen the dangers of it? Like, have you seen 2 sides of the story, basically? And they go, no, see, this is the reality we're in. Sometimes I forget myself that these people and they're very in tune with most things, but when it comes to this, their answer was, I said, have you done any critical thinking yourself, or done any research? It goes, no. So how do you know it's safe? Well, the government says it's safe. And they said on top of it, they said that, well, my friend's grandparents got it and somebody else's grandparents got it. So that in itself what justified the safety of it, just because they got it. I was like, what? That's your definition of safety?
Yeah.
Jesus
Ask
Christ.
them if they jumped into the river and the other grandparents jumped into the river, would you follow them?
Exactly. It's sad, because nobody is doing their own critical thinking. Nobody's opening their mind saying what is actually going on here, and really scrutinizing everything. And if you scrutinize like we have in many podcasts, you'll see there's loads and loads of evidence there to see the massive dangers of it. And we've shown videos talked about the technology parts, between nanobots, all sorts of stuff in this vaccine. It's just the completely unlicensed vaccine as well. It's just it's horrendous, the stuff that's that they're pushing out to the public. What else have we got there? We had
Denmark. Actually, we were going to talk about the passports in Denmark.
Yeah, Denmark. After we talked about them a few months ago, of course, with enough people got together and all that, and the government actually had to go by what the people said, and they rolled back the mandatory part of the vaccine. But now, in the last couple of days or so, they're talking about it's on a couple of news articles, but lo and behold, it's actually on the World Economic Forum as well, and they actually talk about Denmark developing digital COVID-19 passports. They don't say it'll be on an app yet, probably will be in time. But what they're saying is they've already vaccinated 1% of their population in Denmark. And they're looking to obviously roll out more and more and more. I think it's about 900 care homes or something now by the end of this weekend or so they'll have vaccinated as well. So that's what they're at the moment. And they also says that it'll be obviously for people who got the vaccine. So is this kind of a retaliation for, okay, you won on this side a few months ago, as in the people won in the sense it's not mandatory, but now the fact it's not mandatory, well, we're just going to make your lives hell. And if you don't get it, and you can't get this basically digital COVID-19 passport, because if you do, it'll show you haven't actually got it. So i.e. then, like we've talked many times, it will let you into, get services that maybe down to the shops, into a music venue. And it says, we are looking into, which generally when they say they're looking into, has a good possibility of it, all right, that people coming in from the border or people coming in overseas will have to show this as well, and vice versa. So it's, they're going to try and correlate around this in Europe and around the world as well, that we're not making it mandatory, but if you don't get this COVID-19, that we are. So it's not, Denmark have said it's not a case of if, it's a case of when they roll out this digital passport, when it's underway. And this is the restrictions that they'll try and coerce you into. Oh, we can't make it
They're gonna
mandatory.
do
So
everything. They're going to stop
yeah,
social welfare, pensions, and everything. They're going to do all dirty
do
tricks.
everything they can.
Like we know that Denmark came out with their pots and pans. You know, obviously they got a result at that time, but you know, they slipped it under the carpet. I think next time they want to put the pots and pans in the politicians' heads because their IQ must be 19, you know, like the COVID, and just start banging it. And
but that's what we said. We said to even weeks ago. We said it's a win for them from now, but don't just think that's a win alone. You'll have to keep pushing because they'll come up with something next week and the week after. These governments will want to push it as much as they can. So it's important to push back. Stays going again. So time will tell. But Denmark will be one of many countries that will be trying to roll this out. So we'll see what's going to happen as the future goes on. But that's their plan B tactic, because plan A was mandatory. Plan B then is okay, we won't make it mandatory, but we'll just make our life hell. So it's up to you, like it's a choice, even though it's not a choice, for freedom. So that's the situation with that. But I know also, moving on from that, in England as well, basically they have 4.5 million people now in England alone waiting on the patient list, i.e. to go in for hospitalization, for treatments and all this. And I have to stress, this has nothing got to do with COVID-19. This is the neglect. And this is only happening after lockdown. So just shows again, these lockdowns have nothing got to do with, saving health or humanity or anything like that. It's got to do with basically making people poor, destroying businesses, destroying livelihoods, destroying the mental health and well-being of people itself. It does not do anything to help people. And they know that. It's not as if they don't know that. They know this in government, exactly what they're doing. But 4.5 million people is supposed to be a record, according to this article, since 2007. So all the heart, the lungs, all the stuff, the cancer, everything is just being pushed back. How many deaths are going to arise out of that? Because of their actions, government.
Because of that, he didn't go near the hospital because, one, they don't want people there, and waited, and he found out he's on stage 4 cancer. It's terrible, and there's millions of cases like that, and they're supposed to be helping us. They care about our health. Like, people, wake up, please wake up, because unless everybody starts waking up, it's going to be hard to fix this. So
exactly.
Stop complying. And
on top of that as well, it's not only in that situation with the hospital, it's there's actually people who genuinely are afraid of the alleged COVID-19 situation. The elderly, some of them are genuinely afraid of it. So under no circumstances, even if they're critically ill, they won't go into a hospital. I've heard of nurses and people like that trying to get him in, to say, no, you must come in because you're critical or this or that. And they're afraid of their life of getting this COVID-19. That we've shown the podcast through Freedom of Information and other situations, they still haven't proved that it exists. But we won't go down that rabbit hole again, but that's there in previous podcasts. And, fear mongering the lives of people. Like, I'm kind of in a situation, I know you're the same as well. It's like, we're born to live free, simple as that. So it's a case of, like, if we're going to die, we're going to die. But I'm not going to live in fear for a couple of months to a year, till maybe 2022, 2023, and go on to 2025 and onwards, living in fear. I'm going to live my life. Whatever happens, happens. But I'm not going to cower in fear, because you're wasting so many weeks and months of your life. Sitting at home and cowering away in fear from what? For something that will not affect my life anyway. I just get on with things, and everybody should do the same thing and unite. And that's the only way with people power does actually work. And we'll get things back normal, but just enough people have to unite, and they have to unite quick, because they're doing everything. These people who are operating all this in the background, they're very united, but are making sure we're divided as much as possible. So
absolutely,
yeah, that's on the situation for that. But
because people think it's going to change and it'll come right. I mean, there's even a high percentage believe they get the injections, they get their passport, everything returns to normal. We know that's not true. Listen, stop being fooled. If you've been fooled since March, if you're not awake by now, just turn off your telly, start following the trail. We even say, don't believe what we're saying. We're giving links to everything we do, but start researching it. And, go to brave.com, DuckDuckGo, not Google. Google's a bad boy. And I think by doing your own research, you'll actually have a better chance of actually, as we say, waking up, instead of just listening to either the left or the right. That's the way I think it's
Exactly. But I think that's about it. Or have we anything else for this week that you wanted to talk about?
I think we've covered enough. Yeah. So
we kept it short and sweet, kind of, and yeah.
So we'll bring you more in the coming weeks. We've got a few nice ones planned. So look, it's very important now, especially since I don't really try to push the YouTube. I'm still on it. By next week I can upload something again, but we really want you to come on to BitChute, subscribe to us, listen to the podcast, subscribe. But basically share, because even like, I mean, you know, I have the Polish one. I'll do something on Facebook, and the reach will be like 4,000 or whatever. I put something on for the awakening, and I share it to 20 groups, and I get a reach of 50, 20, 10. You know, so
the shadow banning and the censorship is unreal what they're doing. Yeah.
No, if you're on a Telegram group or a Signal group or something like that, and you like what we're saying, just cut and paste, and, you know, just share with your friends. It's greatly appreciated.
Yeah, we're here just to give you the information, the alternative side of things, and if people, you know, so people can say, well, you know, this is the other side of it. Have a look at it and see what you think yourself, because you're not going to see what we're talking about on the mainstream news, or the government are not going to talk about. They're going to suppress it. They're going to ban it. So there's a reason they're suppressing. There's a reason censorship is on a high at the moment, because you know, these people lie continuously all the time. Governments, Silicon Valley, they're consistently lying all the time. So there's a reason behind that. So anyway, look, we'll leave it at that for this week. I said there's more coming up anyway, and there's loads to talk about, but we try to keep these ones kind of, you know, in or thereabouts the half-hour mark or so if we can, because we could talk for an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, but people just tune out. People don't like massive long podcasts, so we try to keep snippets of ones just to keep people awake and listening, and besides, you know, looking at your own information as well. You know, don't believe what we're saying if you don't want it. Go research. It's very important. It's like, we're giving you information. Now go research and go look at your own. If everybody can do a small bit of their own information, you'd be surprised the amount of stuff you'll actually find.
Listen, Chris, as always, it's been fantastic. Thanks a million.
Same as, right? Yeah. We'll see you again next week.
As always. So you'll find Chris on mindwars.uk. He's on BitChute as Mindwars. I'm on awakeningpodcast.org, and I'm on BitChute as Awakening Podcast. You'll find us on Facebook as well. And as we asked, give us a 5-star rating, give us a thumbs up, share, and until next week, take care.
See you then.